Hola pessoal, welcome to Kingdom Influencer. I hope that you guys are doing well. A few days ago, I watched something and it reminded me of a principle that my mom has always taught me, that my mom taught me at a very young age, my brothers and our congregation. When I was growing up and when I wanted something, when I was believing God for something, my mom would always tell me, you need to visualize it. You need to have this as a target. My mom would call it, or she calls it like, the fourth dimension. Like you need to see yourself getting that, using that, being that. And I see that right now that has kind of been tainted and it has become a thing of new age. But I remembered, right, when my mom had told me that, I asked her, Mom, is this biblical? Like at 10 years old, I have always been a person that asked a lot of questions, right? I always wanted to know why things were a certain way, why we doing this. And I asked my mom, and she always referred me to the Bible, and she used to speak about Jacob, right? When Jacob got betrayed by Laban. Sorry about that. When Jacob got betrayed by Laban, my mom would always refer that thing to me, right? That story to me. And if I can confess, half of it made sense and then the other half didn't make sense. But today I can come to you guys and say that it truly makes sense. I truly understand what it was that my mom had taught me and why up until today I do it. You guys have probably heard me say that I have a prophetic wall, that everything that God tells me, that everything that I want from God, I put it up on this wall, and it has never failed me. It has never failed me because it became something that I did and I saw results. I saw God in it. I saw how it grew my faith. I saw how doubt started to fade away. I saw how the unbelief would just shrink, and I would be confident and I would be assured and I would know that God would definitely do this. So before I actually just speak more on that, I want us to just read Genesis chapter 30, starting from verse 37. So before I read, so we know that Jacob had asked Laban for him to leave, and Laban was like, no, just stick around. And Laban was like, hey, I can pay you, I can give you a wage, a salary. And Jacob was like, nah, you don't have to do that. Just give me all the sheeps and goats, that have marks, that are dogs, that are speckled, that have stripes. Just give me those. You can stay with the white ones. I'll stay with all the other ones, so that we will know which is which and who belongs to and which belongs to who. But Laban was slick in his way, and he stole those from Jacob. So Jacob had something in his heart. Jacob knew what it was that he was supposed to get, and the enemy had taken that away from him. And Jacob could have been very sad. Jacob could have complained, but everything depends on how we choose to see what we are going through. Jacob could have seen what Laban had done and felt defeated. Just like how at times we feel that we are moving forward, we feel that we have, just upped a level. We feel like we are getting closer to what God has said. We are getting closer to that goal. We are getting closer to buying that thing. But then something happens. Jacob could have felt defeated. I have felt defeated. I have felt defeated when I've seen myself coming close to that thing, and then something happens and it doesn't come to pass in that moment. I have felt defeated. Maybe you have felt defeated. These attacks, these roadblocks, they are frustrating. But what we can learn from Jacob is that he saw this as a big opportunity, an opportunity to change his life. And at first, I don't put everything on my prophetic wall, right? But when I do feel the strong resistance of the enemy, I go and I put it on my prophetic wall. Because Jacob saw this as a life-changing opportunity, and it did change his life. It changed his status. It changed his responsibilities. His responsibilities increased. His life was never the same after this happened. So let me read the scripture here. Verse 37 says, Jacob, however, took fresh-cut branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees, and made white strips on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood of the branches. Verse 38 says, Then he placed the peeled branches in all the watering troughs so that they could be directly in front of the flocks when they came to drink. When the flocks were in heat and came to drink, they mated in front of the branches, and they bore young that were streaked or speckled or spotted. Now I just want to go to Genesis 31. In verse 10 it says, In breeding season, I once had a dream in which I looked up and saw that the male goats mating with the flocks were streaked, speckled, and spotted. The angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob. I answered, Here I am. And he said, Look up and see that all the male goats are mating with the flocks that are streaked, speckled, and spotted. For I have seen all that Laban has done to you. I want to stop right there. The reason I came and I read what was written in verse 31, in chapter 31, verse 10, is because I believe that this was confirmation that God was about to do it. This was the dream that Jacob had gotten, that God wanted to bless him, that the flocks that are speckled, spotted, the ones that have streaks, that those were the ones that God wanted for him. Just like how you and I have had various dreams of God confirming, God telling us what he wants for our lives. How many of you have had dreams of you in this new car, of you in this new house, of you in a new position, of you getting married, of you in a wedding dress? You have had dreams. God has confirmed, the same way that God spoke to Jacob and confirmed to him that right now this is the flock that I want to give you. That when you spoke to your uncle and you said, let the flocks that have marks, let those be mine. That wasn't just your emotion speaking. That wasn't just you wanting to say that, but you spoke according to my plan. How many times have we said things? How many times have we said we wanted something, and it's not that we consulted God for us to say that we wanted that thing, but later on, God does confirm it. When we go out to get it, when we start doing things to get that thing that we think that we just want because it's our own desire, and then the enemy comes and attacks, and then out of nowhere God comes and confirms, and God's like, keep it moving, keep pushing, keep fighting, because this is what I want for you. You weren't just speaking out of your emotions. You weren't just speaking out of your feelings. You were speaking what I want for you. It was my spirit in you, allowing you, letting you say those things, allowing you to want that thing so that you can be aligned with my will, so that you can go out and get what I want for you. And that's what happened to Jacob, right? God revealed to him in a dream that, hey, the flocks are all white right now because your uncle has actually stolen from you. He actually betrayed you once again. But let me show you that I am the God of impossibles. I am giving you a strategy so that your uncles will see these flocks becoming yours. And it's not because you're going out to buy them, but the flocks that he left, those white sheeps, these white goats, they are going to give you the flocks that are rightfully yours. They are going to give you those flocks that are sprinkled, the flocks that have spots, the flocks that are darker. They are going to come from the flocks that are white. But God gave him a strategy. And this is where I am so grateful for my mom for teaching me what she has taught me, and it comes straight from the Bible. The animals were all white, but everything depended on how Jacob wanted to see things. But by faith, Jacob saw that even though his eyes are seeing that the sheep, they're seeing that the goats, that the flocks are all white, by faith, he saw them spotted. He saw them with stripes. He saw them sprinkled. He saw them marked. And he knew that he didn't have to go with his emotions. He knew that he was a man of faith. He came from the lineage of Abraham, the father of faith. He knew that he could not go by what his eyes were showing him, what his eyes were seeing, especially when God had already confirmed it to him. Jacob's natural eyes were showing him male goats, male sheep. I hope that's correct. But he was seeing them. His eyes were seeing them white. But his spiritual eyes were seeing them speckled, were seeing them with spots, were seeing them marked, were seeing them dark, because that's what God had told him in the dream. So he wasn't looking at them with his natural eyes, just the same way that God does not want you to look at the situation with your natural eyes. He wants you to look at the situation with your spiritual eyes. He wants you to see you being in the house that he showed you. He wants you to see yourself wearing that dress that he showed you. He wants you to see yourself walking down the altar. He wants you to see yourself with that business. He wants you to see your business growing. He wants you to see your family transformed. Whatever it is that God has showed you spiritually, whatever it is that God has showed you supernaturally, he wants that to be the main thing. Do not worry about what you are seeing with your natural eyes, because the natural does not dictate your life. The natural will not be what it seems that it is right now, because you are a spirit being. What God shows you spiritually, what God shows you supernaturally, that is what it is. It doesn't matter who has betrayed you. It does not matter who has come up against you. It does not matter who does not want to support you. It does not matter who has turned their back on you. It does not matter who has cut the partnership, who has actually fired you, who has left you. It does not matter, because Laban betrayed Jacob. But God has the power to change the situation. God made two white ones give birth to the ones that were spotted, to the ones that were marked, to the ones that had streaks. So no betrayal will stop what needs to come. No betrayal will put an end to that dream, put an end to that vision, put an end to that prophecy. Not people leaving you, not people being envious of you, not people being jealous of you, not even people not liking you. They can't put a stop to what God has shown you. The only person that can really stop that, the only person that can really stop that from not happening, it is you, it is I. And that can only happen if we do not believe, if we do not take charge of things in the spiritual realm. And this is why I want to share this with you. This is why I need you to have radical faith. This is why I need you to be shaken, because I don't want you to miss what it is that you are supposed to have, what you were supposed to live in this moment. God gave Jacob a strategy that we can use every single day of our lives, a strategy that we can use with everything. I have done this. My brothers have done this. My mom has done this. People in our ministry have done this. And if you need proof, if you need the receipts, then I can give you the receipts. All the major things in my life I have gotten through doing this. Jacob was like, okay, I saw what I saw in my dream. Now I need everything around me to see the same thing. Now I need the people, or let me not say the people, the animals that are involved. I need their minds to be transformed. I need them to start seeing what I am seeing. I need them to start believing what I am believing. So there he is, got the branches, started cutting the branches, making stripes on the branches, making the inner white part show and everything. And then he places that in the water. And when the animals came to drink, they weren't seeing themselves as just plain white animals. They were seeing themselves spotted. They were seeing themselves with streaks. They were seeing themselves with marked. They weren't seeing what they actually were naturally. Jacob was actually igniting, if I can say that. Even the animals' faith was being ignited, and they were going to see what Jacob was seeing in the spiritual realm. And this is where the prophetic wall comes in. This is where I say that New Age and all those worldly things where they say attraction and manifestation belongs to them. No. This comes from God. God says that we need to not live according to the situation that we are in. We are not to live according to the problems that we are living, but we live by faith. Living by faith is living by what God has said. And whatever you have to do around you to believe, for you to really, just get it inside of you that what God said is what's going to happen. So you do that. You start triggering yourself, you start aligning yourself to see, to be according to what God has said. When I am believing God for something, I take the picture of that thing, I put it up on my wall where I can see it every day. I look at that thing every day and I say, this is mine. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to be. This is already mine. I see myself in that wedding dress. If there is a picture of a wedding dress that you like, get that wedding dress. Go and try it out. Put that wedding dress on. Take a picture and put it up somewhere where you can see it every day. It's because when you look at yourself in that picture, you are seeing yourself as a bride. You are now confessing that you are a bride. If there is a certain position that you have been trusting God for, that God has been speaking to you about, get something that represents that position and make yourself see it every day so that your confession will change. If there is a car that you want, a car that you've been trusting God, a car that God has confirmed it, go and take a picture of that car. As many times as you need, go and sit in that car and declare that this car is yours. Have this car as your screensaver. Do things in a way, right? Do things in a way that it will make you speak about it. And when you speak about it, you will be saying that this is mine, not this is what I'm going to get. This is mine. This is already mine. I am waiting on my daddy to give me this. My daddy has already ordered this. My daddy has already gotten me this. I am just waiting for this to be delivered. You are not lying. You are speaking what is true, because before you receive anything naturally, you have already received it spiritually. So you are not lying. You are living by faith. You are making everything around you confess the same thing. You are making everything around you align with what God has said. This is what Jacob did, and this is what God wants you to do today. Do not waver in your faith. Do not step a level down in your faith. How bad do you want it? How bad do you really want this? Do you really believe that this is yours? And if you really believe that this is yours, you need to have radical faith. Where is your faith right now? Do you want to go into 2022 living the same life, having the same things? Even though God is speaking, things in your life aren't changing. Show God how bad do you want it. Jacob fought with the angel. Jacob fought with God. And I believe God allowed him to fight because God wanted to see how bad does he want it. How bad do you want this thing that God has called you to have? How bad do you want this place that God has said is yours? How bad do you want this position? Do you want it because you believe it, that it is yours, that it has your name on it? Or do you want it just for you to have pictures, just for you to flaunt it, just for you to show off? There's a difference between the two. There is a major difference between the two. I have been doing this, for years. I have been doing this for decades, like 2 decades, almost 3, I have been doing this for the longest time. But the Lord had to remind me of this again. There are certain things that he has called me to do, right? There are certain things where he's like, I want to ignite that fire. I want you to take this faith, your faith to another level. I now need things around you to start confessing. I need things around you to start lining up. Yes, you believe it, but now I need your surroundings to believe it. I need the atmosphere, to change around you. I need this shift that has happened spiritually. I need it to take over the natural. And one thing, I am going to be honest with you guys, one thing that the Lord had me do, right? The Lord had me wear a ring on my ring finger. And I was like, Lord, I've done this before. And yeah, it got me results. It got me results with the wrong person, but it's the lesson behind it, right? It is the lesson behind it. I remember before I had gotten engaged, the Lord told me, do you believe that marriage is for you? I said, yes, I believe it. So he said, now let everything else start seeing it, and let everything else around you start confessing it, right? And I thought just me calling my person back then, my fiance, that was enough, because that's how he used to refer to me to people, right? He was like, oh, she's my fiance, but there was no ring on my finger. He's like, she's my fiance, she's my fiance, she's my fiance, she's my fiance. So I was like, okay, Lord, I am going to start calling him my fiance. And then the Lord was like, nah, I need you to take it up a notch. Go and get a ring and wear that ring every single day. And people will ask you about it. There will be situations where people will ask you about it. And your answer is, it's because you are engaged. It's because you have a fiance. It's because you are waiting to get married. You're about to get married. And guys, can I tell you the amount of questions that I used to get because of this ring? It was crazy, right? And I could literally just feel everything around me change. I could see it to the point where out of nowhere, my ex-person, my person back then, proposed, and it all happened in a space of, I believe, 6 months. God told me to start doing that in January. I remember I put the ring on. I went to one of my friend's house. They asked me about it, and I spoke in faith, and and because there were people that were believing God concerning this thing for me, I gave them a background story, but I said, but whoever asks, this is what you say. We are changing things around us. And that's what we did. And in a space of 6-7 months, I had gotten the official ring. So the Lord told me to do the same thing now, right? It's not only with the ring that I have on my finger right now, it's other things. And the difference is that back then it was kind of easier, right? Because I had someone. So no one thought I was crazy. Now it's like, oh my gosh, like, guys, sometimes I just want to like dig up a hole and hide myself because people ask the same question. It's like every single day they ask the question, and I am forced to speak by faith concerning pictures that I have on my phone, concerning my screensaver, concerning whatever act that God has told me to do. People ask, people ask, and I believe God allows it, right? So that you can get in the rhythm of it. But at the same time, guys, I can say that there have been times where I have failed, right? Because people will ask the questions in such a way where you start shaking. Your knees, start wobbling. Your knees start shaking. You're like, oh no, I don't have anyone yet. And then God's like, no, that's not what you're supposed to say. Say what you are supposed to say. Say that this house is yours, that this thing is yours. Confess it. Declare it. Put it out there. Let the universe know. Let the demons around you know that even though it does not look like that naturally, spiritually, it is saying a different thing. And I choose to live by the Spirit. I choose to live by the Spirit of the Lord. I choose to live by what my spiritual eyes are showing me and not my natural eyes. What is that thing that God has spoken to you about? What is that thing that is yours? That right now, it just hasn't been delivered. But you have already got it. So, whatever it is, do this act of faith. Do this act of faith and see if things will not change. See if things will not change. When I wanted a new car, I had this picture of this car almost everywhere. And when you start doing these things, people just become nosy. People would touch my phone and they'd be like, oh, whose car is this? And I'd be like, mine. And inside I'm like, please don't ask questions. Please don't ask. They would ask the trickiest questions. And I would answer them according to what God had said. And before I knew it, in a space of 6 to 7 months as well, I'm just realizing this right now. Space from 6 to 7 months, I had gotten that car. But I did not waver in my confession. I did not fail in saying what I was seeing spiritually. And the questions were just so crazy that I would be like, it's getting delivered. They are putting some like really unique stuff in this car that I asked for, so it's getting delivered. And I was like, Lord, now you need to give me like something special in this car because I just said it's getting delivered because of this and this and this. It was a beautiful journey and my faith grew. So whatever it is that you have to do, or whatever it is that that is yours, just do it. Ask God, Father, Jacob did this. This is the strategy that you have given him. How do I go about it? How do I go about it? How do I go about it? Some of the answers that you will give these people, it will be scriptures. It will be the scriptures that you will be giving them. It will be scriptures. Whenever someone asks me like, wow, why are you getting this? Like, can you afford this? I would be like, yeah, because, my daddy, he said he will supply all of my needs according to his riches and glory. Like, I am like his baby girl. He doesn't want me to not have these things, Like, I would just get scriptures and I would be like, yeah, I am saying my daddy because number one, I am a daddy's girl naturally, but I think the spiritual side trumps everything. And even before I expect my dad to give me anything. I'm like, God, I come to you first. Because I know if man says no and you say yes, even the no of the man has to obey to your yes. So yeah, guys, I wanna share that with you guys. I really felt like the Lord really wanted me to share that with you, and I believe that is a strategy that He wants many of us to operate in and many of us to do. Do not allow what the world has taken biblically and turned it into the horrible thing. Do not allow the enemy to keep you away from what is biblical and from what is in the Bible. And I am not into this new age stuff. I've never practiced it, and if you had to ask me questions, I would fail, because anything that is not biblical, I don't even try and search about it. I don't even try and know anything about it. But I have done this from the age of 10, and if you guys want receipts, I will give you receipts. And I don't say this to boast. I say this because it is a biblical principle, and it has been something that my family and I have done. Even before New Age came about, we have done this. And it is in the Bible. Jacob did it. So, be stirred up. Be stirred up. Be stirred up. Do not allow anything to stand in the way of what God has for you. Do not allow anything to stand in the way of that. Do not allow it. Jacob fought with God until that thing came to pass, until the blessings were spoken over him, until he became the blessing himself, until he got that name change, until his situation changed, until his location changed, until his status changed. Fight for what is rightfully yours. If God has spoken to you concerning a certain thing, that thing is yours. It is rightfully yours. For the fact that God has spoken it, God has shown it to you, it is rightfully yours. And don't allow the enemy to take it away. Do not allow the enemy to take it away. I hope that this word has blessed you. Un beijo. Bye-bye.